Hello, everybody. How are we all doing today on this Thursday, September 3rd? Welcome to the 100th show on Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. We are live in Baltimore, Maryland, which is home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. We are completely, absolutely, relatively locked and loaded for this 100 so special today. But before I can get to start what I want to say about the breaking news, I would like to thank everyone, friends, family, all the 12OZ Sports Radio producers and JB Beck and whoever else is on the website. Thank you for following and listening this whole time. My big fans all across the country, all across the world. Glad you tuned in, glad you listened. And I'm happy I reached this milestone because I started this. It was around a year ago where I started my first show, and here I am 1 year later with the 100th show. And I couldn't be more thrilled to be here and start it off because we are actually going to be on this 100 show today. We are going to be touching every single topic: baseball, hockey, basketball, and football. Without further ado, use promo code 12OZ Sports. All cash with deposit bonus up to $1,000 from my bookie. Let's get going with two breaking newses. The first one's a complete bombshell. Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN announces Hall of Fame point guard Steve Nash is the next head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Hall of Fame player. He was a developmental coach with the Golden State Warriors under Steve Kerr. Kevin Durant won 2 NBA titles with the Golden State Warriors, and now the heart and soul of the Brooklyn Nets now with this team. Now, they're going to try and win a championship or two. Now, Kevin Durant wants to be like LeBron. Hey, I left one place. Now I'm going to want to win somewhere else. And you can relate to him. And let's hope that Steve Nash can relate to Kyrie Irving. You also got Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Joe Harris, the University of Virginia product, to hopefully, and other key players on the roster. And the Brooklyn Nets are going to be in win now mode next year. And let's see where the Philadelphia 76ers go with their head coach search, which Ty Lue, potentially, or Mark Jackson, or Sam Cassell. Moving on from that breaking news, let me be a little bit more solemn here for the next 2 minutes. Tom Seaver's passed away at the age of 75. Wore the number 41. His number is retired at Citi Field. He had a WAR of 109.9. Wins and lost 3-11 and 205 in his career. ERA 2.86. Games 656. Games started 647. 1 career save. He pitched in 4,783 innings, 3,971 hits, giving up 1,674 runs, 1,380 walks, and he struck out over 3,000 batters in his career. Had a 1.121 whip, pretty good. And Tom Seaver, one of the greatest pitchers in the Major League history. And I was talking about this with my dad last night. Tom Seaver, and a lot of other Mets fans are like to me, he's the greatest New York Met ever. Mike Piazza, the catcher, former catcher Keith Hernandez, SNY broadcaster and first baseman for the former first baseman on the 1986 World Series team for the New York Mets, had their thoughts to say. And then on the Wilpons, mentioned a statement from Fred and Jeff Wilpon. We are devastated to learn of the passing of Mets legend and Baseball Hall of Fame Tom Seaver. Tom was nicknamed the franchise and Tom Terrific because of how valuable he truly was to our organization and our loyal fans, as his number 41 was the first player number retired by the organization in 1988. He was simply the greatest Mets player of all time. and among the best to ever play the game, which culminated with his near unanimous induction to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1992. Beyond the multitude of awards, records, accolades, World Series championship, All-Star appearances, and just overall prevalence, we will always remember Tom for his passion and devotion to his family, the game of baseball in his vineyard. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his wife, Nancy, daughter, Sarah, and Annie, and 4 grandsons, Thomas, William, Henry, and Tobin, number 41. Let's hope that the Mets should, you know how like Jackie Robinson, they wear the number 42? Well, the Mets should wear basically number 41 today in his honor. Seaver was the Harper Hartzell of the New York Mets for all that time. During that time period, and the thing is about Tom Seaver is this. He was loved like everything with Mets fans. Wear 41 patches for the rest of the year. Maybe it'll get him jump-starting a reason why to win the World Series this year in this. Who knows, but the Mets are kind of out of it right now. Let's hope Steve Cohen, when he becomes the owner of the New York Mets, new owner at some point over the Wilpons, Fred and Jeff, that Steve Cohen will decide to, hey, let's get a statue for this guy. My dad's like, that should have been done, and other fans like, should have been done long ago. Steve Cohen needs to put the statue out. The Wilpons, because the Wilpons are penny pinchers, and Steve Cohen is not. Moving on, trying to progress through this thing because I got to get to my NFL preview. Boston and Tampa Bay. What did I say before the start of the season? That I have a feeling that the Lightning are going to win it all. So the game's tied at 2, double overtime. Victor Hedman shoots it, scores. 5:50 remaining in double overtime. He said he didn't see it go in until Patrick Maroon raised his arms up, and Yaroslav Halak had no chance. And the people that are saying, oh, Tuukka Rask, he bet on his teammates, shame on you. Because your fan base has no grace in class whatsoever. Because you're basically doubting him because he had to go back home to a family emergency because he felt like it was best for him because you have no dignity and no soul for life of a goaltender outside of sports. Is that what it is? I knew the Bruins were going to lose this series with Rask or without him. This, I just think, is proven to be the year of the Tampa Bay Lightning after they lost last year in the first round of the Columbus Blue Jackets when they won the President's Trophy. Now the Boston Bruins have been bounced yet again. The President's Trophy curse lives on. 2013 was the last time a Stanley Cup champion was also the President's Trophy winners, the Chicago Blackhawks, in a shortened season. That was what, between 44 and then 48, 49, or 50 games? So let's see what the goals were scored. Oh, and they lost Nikita Kucherov in the game. He should be expected to be fine. Oh, and Steven Stamkos is yet to play for Tampa Bay. So on the game-winning goal by Victor Hedman, assisted by 5:50 and remaining in double overtime, assisted by Kevin Shattenkirk and Braden Point, 14-10. No first period goals, second period goals. Andre Palat, 4:21, assisted by Kevin Shattenkirk and Blake Coleman. Boston, David Pastrnak, 12:38. Power play goal assisted by David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron. Third period goals, Tampa Bay, Anthony Cirelli, assisted by Victor Hedman and Braden Point. 12:03 with 7:57 remaining regulation. Boston, David Krejci, 17:27. Assisted by Zdeno Chara and Connor Clifton with 2:33 remaining regulation. So those were the goals. So it was second period and third period. So is this Zdeno Chara's last game with the Boston Bruins? And he assisted on the goal by David Krejci with 2:33 remaining, 17:27. And is this Zdeno Chara's last game with the Boston Bruins? It might be. He's 43 years old. Doc Emmerich, head coach Bruce Cassidy, himself, Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, and David Pastrnak, though nonetheless spoke about it. And Zdeno Chara's 43-year-old, though nonetheless. Next, Yaroslav Halak, 32 saves for the Boston Bruins. And Andrei Vasilevskiy, he's on a mission. My Uncle Frank agrees with me, 45 saves for him. Vasilevsky's a beast. Oh, nonetheless. Next up, the Islanders and the Flyers. So, for now, the Flyers have staved off elimination. Scott Laughton scores the game-winning goal for the Flyers with 7:40 remaining in overtime, 12:20. And the thing in this series is this. Islanders just end the game in regulation. Make sure you win it, because you're 3-0 in regulation. In this series, and 0-2 when you don't. And now Alain Vigneault has you guys right where he wants you. Just like in 2015 when he was the head coach of the New York Rangers. Down 3-1, won a game in overtime, and then won Game 6 and Game 7. And that was when Barry Trotz was the head coach of the Washington Capitals. Okay? So, we are in the same spot again. The formula for disaster for the Islanders appears to be settling in. Because I picked the Flyers in 7, and the formula for an accident waiting to happen for the Islanders team might be happening before our very eyes. Because if they lose Game 6, they're not winning Game 7. The Islanders better win Game 6. Because I don't think the Islanders are winning Game 6. My Uncle Frank and he's an Islanders fan, he's afraid they're going to blow this series. And I don't blame him. Because I think Colorado's about to win this series. And I'll get to them in a minute. So what else happened? Ivan Provorov was the one that shot that from the point in the 4-3 win, with 7:40 remaining in overtime till 20, and it was assisted by Claude Giroux as well, along with Provorov. So, Game 6 is 7 o'clock tonight, and he also led a 3-1 comeback in 2014 against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Pittsburgh's coach at the time was Dan Bosworth, that led to his relief at Dieter's, and also general managers Ray Shiros. In 2015, Vigneault was... just repeated. I'm not going to repeat it again. Also, how serious is the injuries to Matthew Barzal, the New York Islanders, and Sean Couturier, the Philadelphia Flyers? And a Flyers fan messaged me yesterday saying how serious those injuries were, and I said, listen, the NBCSN guys don't know. He's like to me, thanks. I said, you rock and whatever else. So I'm just like, all right, I'm just waiting here, and he asked me, basically, who you think's going to win, honestly, because he knows I'm not big into the Flyers. I said, I think the Flyers are going to win Game 6, and I'm being honest. And we'll see if I'm right. So, another key play in the overtime that people are forgetting. That Brock Nelson had a breakaway, but Carter Hart saved the day. Finished the game with 29 saves for Philadelphia. Semyon Varlamov finished the game with 28 saves for New York. No goals were allowed in the first period. Second period, Matthew Barzal on the power play 120, assisted by Josh Bailey and Jordan Eberle. Philadelphia, Claude Giroux, 15:45, assisted by Felipe Myers and Sean Couturier. I love the play of Felipe Myers, and I think he's the Flyers' best defenseman on the ice. And I've seen it all postseason along with Provorov. Philadelphia, James Van Riemsdyk, 18-18, assisted by Scott Laughton and Travis Konecny. Third period goals, Matt Niskanen, 4:32, assisted by Travis Konecny and Kevin Hayes. New York Islanders, Brock Nelson, 15:46, assisted by Josh Bailey and Scott Mayfield. New York Islanders, Derek Brassard, 17-19, 2:41 remaining regulation, though nonetheless, assisted by Cal Clutterbuck and Casey Zizekas, though nonetheless. Good job by Alain Vigneault rallying his troops. We'll see how Barry Trotz responds. Provorov and Mayfield are the two key players on the ice tonight, though, for each team, respectively, on defense. Though, nonetheless. Next up, the Colorado Avalanche and Dallas Stars. First period, Miro Heiskanen, 1-0 for Dallas, 17:35, assisted by Matthias Janmark and Darius Gurianov. Miro Heiskanen, very good player. On the back end, Colorado, Nikita Zadorov, 19:28 in the first period, assisted by Vladislav Nemesnikov. Second period, Cale Makar, 7:48, Mikko Rantanen and Samuel Girard. Third period, Mikko Rantanen again. Mikko Rantanen scored a goal. Rantanen assisted on Makar's goal in the second period. 3:21 in, Nathan MacKinnon, Andrei Burakovsky, and then Nathan MacKinnon, 17:14, unassisted. McKinnon's amazing. He is simply amazing, the Harvey Hartzell of the Colorado Avalanche. He is the best player on this team. It's as simple as that. As long as they have him, Nazem Kadri, Cale Makar, and Mikko Rantanen on the ice at the same time, I guess all swell ends well, right? So, as long as they have those 4 guys on the ice, they always have a chance. And then, Michael Hutchinson, 27 saves for the Colorado Avalanche. He is turning back the clocks, baby, from his AHL days in the Manitoba Moose. I remember this guy was the talk of the town when he was in the AHL. This guy's going to be next big thing. No, until Connor Hellebuck came around. And then we see what happens now. He's a decent goalie. My Uncle Frank agrees with Pavel Francouz and Philip Grubauer unfit to play. And then Anton Khudobin, 20 saves for the Dallas Stars. We'll see what happens in Game 7. Will Ben Bishop starting that Game 5 come back to haunt the Dallas Stars? Why did I almost want to say the Dallas Mavericks? We'll see. Next up, on to the NBA. Let's go with Utah Jazz and Denver Nuggets in Game 7. With the game tied at 78 with 34.8 seconds remaining, Nikola Jokic hit the game-winning hook shot for the Denver Nuggets, but that wasn't the craziest sequences throughout the game. With under 20 seconds remaining, the Utah Jazz missed a shot. Jamal Murray then outletted a pass to Jeremy Grant. He missed the layup. Utah didn't have any timeouts remaining. Rudy Gobert grabbed the rebound with 4.9 seconds remaining and passed it to Mike Conley Jr. There wasn't enough time to get it to Donovan Mitchell. Conley Jr. took the shot, and it looked like it was going to go in. I thought the shot was in, but then it rolled out. This was very similar to when Gordon Hayward played for the Butler Bulldogs in the 2010 national title game against the Duke Blue Devils and Mike Krzyzewski. Donovan Mitchell stats, 22 points, 40.9% shooting from the field, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block. When free agency is expected to begin next month, he will be receiving a max contract from the Utah Jazz, though nonetheless. Rudy Gobert stats, 19 points, 61.5% shooting from the field, 52.2% shooting from the field, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists. And as I was saying about that shot, it was like when Brad Stevens with Gordon Hayward and all that other stuff with Duke and Krzyzewski. Jamal Murray stats. No, excuse me. Mike Conley scored only 8 points in that game. Nikola Jokic stats. 30 points, 52.2% shooting from the field, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists. Jamal Murray stats. 17 points, 33.3% shooting from the field, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. And Murray's like, I am so happy. This is the happiest I've ever been, like, playing like dog BS. Basically, you know what I'm saying. Because he was terrible. He's like, they won. And then Grant in the game only scored 3 points. Quinn Snyder, Utah, Mike Malone, and Denver are both excellent head coaches, though, nonetheless. And then you saw Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray, basically doing a lot of things with grace and class when they had basically a ton of respect for each other after the series. So let's go with the Miami Heat winning 116-114 over the Milwaukee Bucks. Last night, Miami's up 2-9, and Boston Celtics up 2-9 as well over Toronto. And then the Houston Rockets won their Game 7, 104-102 over the Oklahoma City Thunder, but I'm just going to get it to the Miami Heat quickly. So it was 104-101, 4.7 seconds remaining. Chris Middleton takes a 3. Dragic didn't even touch him. It was a BS foul call. Middleton makes all free throws, and Giannis touches Butler with no time left. And people like, imagine this were LeBron James. He want to get that call for Los Angeles Lakers. Yeah, I kind of understand. But I guess that's kind of a makeup call, and and this is probably why the NBA ratings are down, amongst other things. There are a lot of reasons why the NBA ratings are down. There are a lot of reasons. Maybe officiating is one of them. But there's a lot of variables that are involved. So, Jimmy Butler hit the game-winning 2 free throws left. Only had 13 points. But he shot 37.5% from the field. 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. Goran Dragic, 23 points, 44.4% shooting from the field. 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Tyler Hero, 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Chris Middleton, 23 points, 40% shooting from the field, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 29 points, 55.6% shooting from the field, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 block. Eric Bledsoe, 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. So if the Miami Heat sweep the Milwaukee Bucks, let me just say this. I might be coming on the show on Monday morning and be like, yeah, where's Giannis Antetokounmpo going next year? Because he's going to request out. I so absolutely seeing that. Absolutely, relatively happening. So, now, ladies and gentlemen, before I get into my NFL preview, I'm going to have one more preview before I get into the NFL preview. So, let's preview the Western Conference semifinals, and I can't wait to jump on this. Drum roll, please. Let's go. All right. Number 3 seed Denver Nuggets against the number 2 seed the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers are going to be facing another high pick and roll team. Denver does it a lot better than Dallas did with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis, with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. But the Nuggets have way better 3rd, 4th, and 5th players than the Dallas Mavericks did. However, playoff Kawhi Leonard is going to ball out and bail out the Los Angeles Clippers. Paul George may disappear in this series, and so may Michael Porter Jr., and those two guys are going to be the important X factors. If for some reason Michael Porter Jr. outplays Paul George, then I see Denver winning this series. But at the end of the day, Denver is going to realize, with Kawhi Leonard being on the other side for the Clippers, that they are going to realize they are still one star player away, like Bradley Beal the Washington Wizards after they lose this series. So my pick is the Los Angeles Clippers at 7 because of how good Kawhi Leonard is in the playoffs. Because of how good Kawhi Leonard is in the playoffs, let me just say this. If the Denver Nuggets had lost, I would have been posting my mock trade of Bradley Beal to the Denver Nuggets this morning, but I'm going to have to wait another day on that. And Kawhi Leonard's going to have to force him to make a move this offseason. Kawhi Leonard's a beast. Next. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready for this prediction. The number 4 seed Houston Rockets against the number 1 seed, the Los Angeles Lakers. I knew it took Houston 7 games to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, but Houston has better shooters than Los Angeles does. I know what everyone is saying on Twitter right now. If the Rockets struggle to beat the Thunder in 7 games, the Lakers are going to beat this team or 4-5. You guys are absolutely out of your minds. That if you think the Lakers are going to win this game series in 4 or 5, and the Rockets, and I feel like they're better than the Blazers are. And the Rockets are actually been better on defense. But the Rockets didn't shoot great. Here's the thing. The Houston Rockets are going to be ready to play this series. And the one game that before the coronavirus happened, when they had that small ball, the Lakers struggled with it. Because, as good as Portland may be able to play up in tempo, the Rockets might do it better. And you know Westbrook's going to be 100%. Question is, I don't know if LeBron's going to be able to keep up with them. And the thing is, I'm afraid Anthony Davis is going to disappear. Yeah, I know James Harden and Russell Westbrook almost disappeared, but let's be real. Maybe this is Houston's time. And I know the Lakers struggled to win that Game 5 without Damian Lillard when the Blazers didn't have him. When they didn't have Damian Lillard and then you have CJ McCollum, Carmelo Anthony, I just think the Rockets are better than the Blazers. Ladies and gentlemen, who else do they got? PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon, Austin Rivers, Robert Covington, and Daniel House Jr. may have enough in the tank to pull off the upset, despite the Los Angeles Lakers having the better coach in this series of Frank Vogel than the Houston Rockets do with Mike D'Antoni. Before I announce my pick, And who I think is going to win this series, let me just backtrack to the previous series. Because not having Damian Lillard Game 5 for Portland did not help them. But it actually made the Blazers more competitive. Interestingly enough. And then Chris Paul and then Lillard and Paul with Damian Lillard and Chris Paul. Because Damian Lillard and Chris Paul are just two of the greatest point guards in the game. And ladies and gentlemen, now's my time for the pick. The Houston Rockets will upset the Los Angeles Lakers in the second round of the NBA playoffs in 6 games. Yes, I just said it on live air. And yes, I said it on the 100 show special. Because as Dave Chuck says, and he said it last week, get this hashtag trending. Hashtag no filter Glenn. All right. I think I just made the boldest statement of the show. Maybe one of the boldest statements on the 100 show. And that's only the beginning. This is only the beginning of that. Because, ladies and gentlemen, let's drum roll. Right now, the NFL preview is here. Let's go. The NFL preview for the final 33 minutes of this show. Welcome to the 2020 NFL preview on the 100 show special. This is going to be an interesting NFL season like no other. I meant no other. There probably won't be any fans in the stands, and if we see them, it probably won't be until near the end of the regular season and at the beginning of postseason potentially. It will feel weird at first, but we are all getting used to it. Super Bowl LV will be in Tampa Bay, Florida at Raymond James Stadium on February 7th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS though nonetheless. Will the Tampa Bay Buccaneers be able to play in their own stadium? Time will tell, and it has never happened. It almost happened 2 years ago with the Minnesota Vikings, but they were crushed in the NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles by a final score of 38-7 though nonetheless. Who is going to finish wearing each division, and who is going to make it to the playoffs? Who is also going to win each award this season though nonetheless? Well, you guys are about to find out right now though nonetheless. Let's get going. Let's start in the AFC North. The number 1 seed, the top team in the AFC North, will finish with an 11-5 record and a 4-2 divisional record. Baltimore Ravens. They're coming off a big loss to the Tennessee Titans in the AFC divisional round last season, 28-12. Mark Ingram II is one of the best tailbacks in the game. The duo of him and Lamar Jackson is solid. The defense is very good and their head coach, John Harbaugh. Baltimore's looking to win the division title for the 3rd consecutive season, though, nonetheless. Super Bowl or bust this season, according to everyone, including quarterback Marlon Humphrey, who accused his team of being choke artists last season, though, nonetheless. Finishing at 9-7 this year with a 4-2 divisional record and going to be in 2nd place in the AFC North, the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward and company are looking to make the playoffs for the first time since 2002. The Cleveland Browns have a new head coach in Kevin Stefanski. He hopes to be better than the Freddie Kitchens experiment was last season, though, nonetheless. Stefanski was the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings last season. It's put up or be quiet time this season for this franchise. Because you got all that talent and you fixed the offensive line with drafted Jedrick Wills and signing Jack Conklin. Now you got to put it all together. No, nonetheless, and we'll see what happens. Finishing in 3rd place with an 8-8 record and 3-3 divisional record, Pittsburgh Steelers. This defense will be top-notch, led by Minkah Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt. Can the offense even perform? Ben Roethlisberger's health remains a big-time question for this team. Juju Smith-Schuster may not even be a top 3 wide receiver on the roster, and the running game will be inept again. I think Chase Claypool, James Washington, and Deontay Johnson will all be better with him than him, and I had a talk about this with someone yesterday. When I was in an Uber car, I remember the conversation. So, head coach Mike Tomlin's job could be in jeopardy this season, although with everything going on, I don't see it happening. James Conner, Anthony McFarland Jr., Benny Snell Jr., Jalen Samuels may not get it done. That's a team that maybe should have signed Leonard Fournette. We will see what happens with this football team this season, nonetheless. Next up, finishing in 4th place in the division with a 5-11 record and 1-5 divisional record, Cincinnati Bengals. Will the legend of Joe Burrow grow immediately in Cincinnati? The offensive line could be a monster problem despite the weapons he will have on the outside. And Joe Mixon, AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, John Ross III, and CJ Uzuma. And Mixon just got his 4-year, $48 million contract extension, being the 2nd round pick, 48th overall, out of Oklahoma in 2017. And Burrow, the 1st overall pick at this past year's draft, out of LSU. And then Green is playing on a franchise tag. If they're bad, they might trade him. Boyd, Higgins, Ross III's not bad. Uzuma's a decent tight end. They lost Tyler Eifert. Will the defense be also fixed in the 2nd season under head coach Zach Taylor? And Von Bell and Carlos Dunlap will be the leaders, leading the way on this defense, though, nonetheless. Now on to the AFC South. In 1st place, with the 12-4 record and the 5-1 divisional record, the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans will have high expectations once again this season after losing in the AFC Championship game last season by a score of 35-24 against the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. They need a pass rusher, and it wouldn't hurt to add Jadeveon Clowney. They also have Harold Landry and Vic Beasley Jr., and they're expecting Jeffrey Simmons to pop after they traded Jurrell Casey in the offseason to the Denver Broncos for a 7th-round pick. And I don't understand why General Manager John Robinson basically gave him away for nothing. It honestly doesn't make much sense why it really happened whatsoever. However, this offense can score in bunches with Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and A.J. Brown as their core players. They also have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL with Taylor Lewan, though, nonetheless. And I expect Corey Davis, I think he's done. Darrington Evans, a rookie running back out of Appalachian State they drafted in the 3rd round, could be pretty good. It could be a change of pace back for Mike Vrabel's bunch as the head coach entering his 3rd season. And then I think either Adam Humphries or Khalif Raymond are going to pop this year. And you got Anthony Fersker, Jonnu Smith, and Michael Pruitt at tight end. That's not bad to have after releasing Delaney Walker last season. And you lost Jack Conklin in the offseason. Though, nonetheless, we'll see where it goes, though, nonetheless. Finishing in 2nd place with a 6-10 and 4-2 record. Indianapolis Colts. The Phillip Rivers experiment will be a one and done. Jacoby Brissett will be the backup, and Jacob Eason will be the 3rd quarterback on this roster, though. Michael Pittman Jr., Jonathan Taylor will be rookies that will contribute right away. Indianapolis has one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, led by Quentin Nelson. Darius Slayton is the captain of this defense, though, nonetheless. Finishing in 3rd place in the AFC South. Houston Texans 6-10 with a 2-4 divisional record. Deshaun Watson will be under duress all season long. He also does not have DeAndre Hopkins around anymore. Head coach Bill O'Brien will be on the hot seat as well. This defense may be one of the worst in the NFL, despite having J.J. Watt and Brandon McKinney, because they really don't have anything else. Oh, you lost Jonathan Joseph, cornerback to the Tennessee Titans. Though, nonetheless, next up, finishing with a 5-11 record, 1-5 divisional record, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville could be one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. Gardner Minshew II could be a good quarterback in Jay Gruden's offense. He was fired as the Washington football team's head coach last season. Gruden could maybe be the next head coach of Jacksonville, Doug Marrone is let go at the end of the season. Or maybe if they fire him during the middle of the season, if they start maybe like 0-6, 0-7, 0-8, 0-9, so forth. Yeah, 0-10. He won't make it to 0-10. Chris Thompson Jr., DJ Chark, and Laviska Shenault Jr. will be good. Leonard Fournette was released. And they also traded Yannick Ngakoue. Fournette's not with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Ngakoue was traded to Minnesota Vikings. All eyes are basically on the 2021 draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Tom Coughlin is gone from this franchise, though, nonetheless. Next up, the AFC East. In first place with a 9-7, 4-2 divisional record, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have made it to the playoffs in 2 or 3 seasons, and Sean McDermott's tenure as head coach of this football team. Josh Allen is looking to take his game to another level after they acquired wide receiver Stephon Diggs from the Minnesota Vikings in the offseason. And you also have John Brown and Cole Beasley. They don't have Zay Jones anymore. But then you also have Devin Singletary and Zach Moss in the backfield. And keep an eye on tight end. Keep an eye on tight end Dawson Knox this season. He could develop into a decent weapon for Josh Allen. Their defense is top-notch on all levels of the spectrum. Quarterback Tre'Davious White, he does a lot of things with grace and class. Edwards, one of the best. Tremaine Edwards, one of the best inside linebackers in all the NFL. You lost Shaq Lawson, that's big. But this Buffalo Bills team, I think, this Buffalo Bills team is trying to win now. I know they were disappointed after blowing that 16-0 lead last year against the Houston Texans and lost, 22-19 in that game? And Houston tried to gave it away to them. I remember watching that game. It was just like, it was bonkers. It was crazy. So, I just thought it was very crazy with what happened last year with the Buffalo Bills, and having Tremaine Edwards helps, though nonetheless. And then number 2 in the AFC East, New England Patriots, 9-7, 4-2 record. It is a new day for Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, the head coach and the offensive coordinator. Cam Newton will be the starting quarterback over Jarrett Stidham and Brian Hoyer. I didn't understand the noise with Stidham and Hoyer when they decided to bring in Newton, who played with the Carolina Panthers. And we had all these injuries. Tom Brady left for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the offseason. And Belichick wants to prove he wants to win without Brady and vice versa, though, nonetheless. Yeah, Belichick wants to win without Brady and vice versa, though, nonetheless. They don't have a lot of offensive weapons. Damian Harris and N'Keal Harry could break out on offense. You also have Sonny Michel, James White in the backfield. Rex Burkhead, Braden Bolden. And then Julian Edelman. They got rid of Mohamed Sanu. Maybe that's because they think that N'Keal Harry is going to potentially pop this season. Yeah, N'Keal Harry is going to be a very good receiver. This defense will be disciplined and ready to go, though, nonetheless, despite having new faces. They don't have Dante Hightower. They don't have Patrick Chung. They don't have a lot of other players, but we'll see how this goes for this team's defense, though, nonetheless, because they will be disciplined and ready to go. The defense will be disciplined and ready to go, though, nonetheless. In third place, with a 6-10 and 2-4 record, the Miami Dolphins will finish in third. I am curious to see when Tua Tagovailoa era will officially begin in Miami. Ryan Fitzpatrick will be the starter. Josh Rosen will be the third quarterback on the roster. Matt Breida, Jordan Howard, Preston Williams, Devontae Parker, Albert Wilson, Mike Gesicki will be the key weapons on this roster. Miami's also upgraded the offensive line through the NFL draft. The defense will also play hard again for Brian Flores' bunch. Flores' team won't pop this year. 2021 or 2022 will be the year they finally break through, as Brian Flores being the head coach of this team, though, nonetheless, when Tua Tagovailoa will take over as the starting quarterback, though, nonetheless. In last place with the 3-13, 2-4 record, the New York Jets. This is going to be a long and rough year for this football team. The schedule is tough from the get-go, and Adam Gase could be the first head coach fired. Sam Darnold has no weapons. Denzel Mims? Chris Herndon? Le'Veon Bell? Really? What is going on here? CJ mostly opted out of the season, so did some others. Jamal Adams was traded to Seattle Seahawks. Mekhi Becton will be a bust in the offensive line for this New York Jets football team, though, nonetheless. The AFC West. 13-3 record, 5-1 divisional record. Y'all want to take a guess who that is? I'll just give you guys 1 second. Oh, the Kansas City Chiefs. This team will be looking to go back-to-back, and it hasn't happened since the 2003 and the 2004 New England Patriots. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, and company are looking to start a dynasty. I mean, that has been the talk all offseason after winning the Super Bowl LIV last season, Miami's Gardens, Florida, by a score of 31-20. Excuse me. At Hard Rock Stadium. Damian Williams, he could have been the Super Bowl MVP, LIV, and they'll remember that for a lifetime. Miami Gardens, Florida at Hard Rock Stadium. And I'm not exactly sure when Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida is going to host the Super Bowl again. Opted out of the season, and that means that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be used on the running game, though, nonetheless. Brashard Breeland will be out for the first 4 games. Anthony Hitchens, Frank Clark, Juan Thornhill, Tyrann Mathieu, and Alex Okafor will be key pieces on the defense for Steve Spagnuolo's bunch as the defensive coordinator. I don't understand why Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator of Kansas City Chiefs, isn't a head coach in the NFL. He used Damian Williams a lot in his offense last year, and then general manager Brett Veach and head coach Andy Reid have been signed through 2025, though, nonetheless. Oh, they also gave Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce contract extensions in the offseason. Mahomes and Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, very good players, obviously. Number 2 with a 10-6, 3-3 record, Denver Broncos. Drew Lock is looking to raise the bar in his second season as the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Pat Shurmur will be the new offensive coordinator. He came over from being the New York Giants head coach for the past 2 seasons. Shurmur's an offensive mind as he was the offensive coordinator with the Minnesota Vikings before coaching with New York. Melvin Gordon II, Philip Lindsay, KJ Hamler, Deshaun Hamilton, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, some of the key players on offense. Noah Fant and Albert Okwuegbunam at the tight end. Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, and A.J. Boyd for Vic Fangio's group, though, nonetheless. On defense, though, nonetheless. 6-10, 1-5. Third place, Los Angeles Chargers. I don't trust Tyrod Taylor throwing the ball. We will see Justin Herbert later this season for the Los Angeles Chargers. Joey Bosa, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and other key players on this roster. Anthony Lynn, the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, needs to do something this season, even though they won't, though, nonetheless. Number 4, Las Vegas Raiders, 4-12, 3-3. Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, Foster Moreau, Darren Waller, Henry Ruggs III, Lynn Bowden, Tyrell Williams, Hunter Renfrow, and Keelan Doss, some of the key players on the offensive side of the ball. The defense will be bled this season. Damon Arnett was a waste of a draft pick from the Ohio State University. He only got drafted out because of who? What? Having Denzel Ward, Jeffrey Okudah on the other side, who was taken 3rd overall by the Detroit Lions. Max Crosby is a beast on the defensive line. Clelin Ferrell, Corey Littleton, Trayvon Mullen, and Demarius Randall will be some of the other key players in and on the defensive side of the ball this season. The final question is, will head coach John Gruden and general manager Mike Mayock decide to start Marcus Murray at some point this season at quarterback position over Derek Carr despite having Nathan Peterman? Stay tuned for it, though, nonetheless. NFC North. First place with a 9-7 record and 5-1 in the division. The Green Bay Packers. I think they're going to take a few steps backwards this season, but they will still find a way to win the division. Aaron Rodgers, the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, isn't going to have to worry about losing his job anytime soon. Jordan Love has not impressed in training camp at all. A.J. Dillon, Jamal Williams, and Aaron Jones will be the 3 down horsemen in the backfield for Green Bay. Matt LaFleur, the head coach, will be fine. But can the defense get going with Mike Penton? It was better last year, but we'll see what happens. Davante Adams and Marquez Valdes-Scantling will be the only two solid wide receiver options for Aaron Rodgers. We'll see what happens with Matt LaFleur and Mike Pentonen, though nonetheless. Number 2, 9-7 record, 4-2 in the division, the Minnesota Vikings. This team overhauled the roster on the defensive side of the ball. Minnesota will still be one of the better teams in the NFC, but it may not be enough to get to the playoffs this season. Kirk Cousins, Alexander Mattison, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Kyle Rudolph, and Irv Smith Jr. Yannick Ngakoue and Daniel Hunter will cause problems for the defense for Minnesota up front. They lost Xavier Rhodes and Trey Waynes in the secondary. They drafted Jeff Gladney from TCU, and I spoke to a Minnesota Vikings fan about this. He's like, it's going to be a complete overhaul in the secondary. You wouldn't be surprised if they missed the playoffs. But they're still a very well-run organization by the Wolf family. I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs. And I'm going to get to those playoff picks probably in around the next 5 to 10 minutes on here. So, Jefferson was also a first-round pick. 22nd overall from LSU. Justin Jefferson on the other side of Jamar Chase. And now he opted out of the season from LSU. Because LSU's now all of a sudden not being a defensive back university. They're also producing with these wide receivers. And head coach Mike Zimmer has a lot of thinking to do, though, nonetheless. And you also have, Justin Jefferson on offense, though, nonetheless. Next, number 3, the Chicago Bears, 6-10, 3-3. The Chicago Bears will have to decide if they are going with Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback this season. No matter how you slice it, it is going to be a quarterback carousel all season long for them. They will finish with another tough season. I don't see head coach Matt Nagy getting fired, but general manager Ryan Pace will, though, nonetheless. You can't ask Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, and the entire defense to try and do everything under defense coordinator Chuck Pagano. Because you need Allen Robinson III to step up and Tariq Cohen to step up on offense, though, nonetheless. Number 4, Detroit Lions, 4-12 and 0-6. I see this being the final season for head coach Matt Patricia. I could also see this being the final season for quarterback Matthew Stafford, and Detroit could very well start from the beginning. Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones Jr. are some of the key players on offense. Oh, they also drafted DeAndre Swift from the University of Georgia, though, nonetheless. On to the NFC South. The top team in the NFC South, with a 12-4 and 4-2 divisional record, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers usher in a new era with Tom Brady, and they have moved on for Jameis Winston at quarterback. Brady came from the New England Patriots. He wants to prove he can win without Bill Belichick. Bruce Arians is his new head coach now. General manager Jason Licht was in the New England front office with the Patriots once upon a time. They're loaded on offense with Leonard Fournette after he signed a 1-year deal, though nonetheless after coming from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard, Ronald Jones II, Keyshawn Vaughn, and LaShawn McCoy. Levante David and Vita Vea are some of the key pieces for an underrated defense coached by defense coordinator Todd Bowles. The offense coordinator is Byron Leftwich, and he could potentially land a head coaching job once this season ends. And everyone's saying, oh, this is a problem for the NFL that Tampa Bay stacking the Buccaneers. No, this is just a 1-year thing with them, though nonetheless. And then the second seed, the second team in the NFC South, going to finish with an 11-5 and 4-2 divisional record, the New Orleans Saints. I think they could take a step back this season. This could be Drew Brees' true last chance. Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill are two backup quarterbacks behind him. They'll be fine if he gets injured. Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, Michael Thomas, Traquan Smith, Emmanuel Sanders, and Jared Cook are some of their key offensive weapons. Marshawn Lattimore is the catalyst of this defense, coached by Dennis Allen. though nonetheless. Sean Payton, the head coach, we'll see how much longer he has, though nonetheless. Number 3, 8-8, 3-3, Atlanta Falcons. Can the Atlanta Falcons make it to the playoffs, or will head coach Dan Quinn get fired? The offense has 11 former first-round picks. Todd Gurley will be the featured back after getting released from the Los Angeles Rams in the offseason. Will the defense be able to get a pass rush? That is going to be the biggest question with an offense that also has Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Hayden Hurst. Atlanta also lost tight end Austin Hooper and running back Devontae Freeman in the offseason, and also quarterback Desmond Trufant in the offseason. Trayvon Mullen and Dante Fowler Jr. are some of their key players on defense, but how will Hayden Hurst, who they traded for a second-round pick for, be on the offensive side of the ball? Because Matt Ryan needs that security blanket to Hayden Hurst. Number 4, though nonetheless. Number 4, Carolina Panthers have 5-11, 1-5. Head coach Matt Rule is going to bring in his own brand of football. Teddy Bridgewater, P.J. Walker will be the quarterbacks on the roster. Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the game. DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel are good at wide receiver. After that, what else do they have on both sides of the ball despite drafting Derek Brown and Yetur Gross-Matos in the 2020 NFL Draft on the defensive side of the ball, though, nonetheless? Dave Tepper is the new owner of this football team, though, nonetheless. Temple University and Baylor University, that's where Matt Rule coached, and he is for fixing, well, he fixed both of those college football programs overnight, and he's hoping to do the same with the Carolina Panthers, though nonetheless. Now, on to the NFC East. Drum roll, please. Who I'm about to say is in first place with a 10-6 and a 42 divisional record. The New York Football Giants will finish in first place in the NFC East this season. It appears as if Joe Judge is winning the players over inside the locker room. We could sense a culture shift, and owner John Mara is very pleased with the way training camp looked. I saw that on a tweet before I came on the show this morning. Ben McAdoo and Pat Shurmur never had control over those players to begin with. Judge did a slip and slide in the mud after practice, and people were chanting, Judge, Judge, Judge. No, it isn't all rise for Aaron Judge, the outfielder of the New York Yankees. Daniel Jones becomes a full-time starting quarterback after Eli Manning retired, and the induction ceremony for him was supposed to be 2020. Now it might be 2021. Daniel Jones learned a lot from Eli Manning, and Saquon Barkley is the running back. Darius Slade, Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate II, Evan Ingram, Kaden Smith will be solid weapons, and the offensive line will be improved for the rookie left tackle Andrew Thomas and right tackle Cam Fleming. Former Dallas Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett is the new offensive coordinator. Patrick Graham's the defensive coordinator. Freddie Kitchens is the tight end coach. Former Cleveland Browns head coach. The defense will be non-existent, though, and Joe Judge was the special teams coordinator for New England Patriots last season, though, nonetheless. And Judge couldn't be more thrilled to be coaching up Daniel Jones, who learned a lot from Eli Manning, though, nonetheless. And Joe Judge is going to be great in his first season, being a disciple of Bill Belichick. And I'm excited for the Joe Judge era. Next, number 2, Dallas Cowboys, 10-6, 2-4. Dallas Cowboys are going to be loaded on offense. Prescott, Elliott, Pollard, Cooper, Gallup, Lamb, Jarwin, and Dalton Schultz. Offensive line is going to hurt, losing Travis Frederick. Smith and Martin are still there, and Collins. Connor McGovern may start at center. Mike McCarthy, new head coach, lost Byron Jones the offseason. The Miami Dolphins, though, nonetheless. Number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles, 9-7, 4-2. Eagles are going to be injury prone, and that's why they missed the playoffs. Questions are going to loom about Carson Wentz being the starting quarterback, and Jalen Hurts isn't the answer. Sorry. Miles Sanders will be the primary tailback. Jalen Reagor, Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey will be the primary wide receivers on the roster. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert will be the tight ends, and it might be the best tight end duo in football. Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, and Brandon Graham could feature one of the best defensive lines in the NFL for Jim Schwartz. Doug Peterson, going to have a tough year as head coach, and so will Jim Schwartz, as defensive coordinator. Next up, though nonetheless, number 4, the Washington football team at 5-11, 2-4. The Washington football team will have Dwayne Haskins being the starting quarterback for Ron Rivera's bunch. I don't think he's going to be that great this season. I don't think Washington has the weapons on the offensive side of the ball to win games, despite having Chase Young and others being anchors on the defensive side of the ball. This team will be more disciplined this season, but will Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, and Adrian Peterson be enough? We'll see, because Kyle Allen will be the backup quarterback. Alex Smith is a good story and is inspiring and all, but he won't see the field though nonetheless. Scott Turner, the son of Nora Turner, will be the offensive coordinator. Jack Del Rio will be the defensive coordinator of this football team. They'll finish 5-11, 2-4. Washington football team though nonetheless. NFC West, number 1, San Francisco 49ers at 12-4, 5-1. They'll be ready to roll after losing the Super Bowl LIV against Kansas City Chiefs 31-20 Miami Gardens, Florida last season. Jimmy Garoppolo needs to prove himself this season at quarterback. Raheem Mostert, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel run the zone scheme game very well. Ayuk is a receiver they drafted. Samuel is a receiver running back, and Mostert's just a running back they gave a contract extension to. Nick Bosa, Dre Greenlaw, and Eric Armstead will lead the defense. Under defense coordinator Robert Saleh, though, nonetheless. Use promo code 12Z Sports. All cash for deposit bonus up to $1,000 from my bookie. Now, I'm just going to finish this up. Number 2, Seattle Seahawks, 11-5, 4-2. This team's Russell Wilson dependent. They trade for Jamal Adams. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Luke Wilson, Chris Carson will be good on offense. If Russell Wilson gets hurt, they'll be done. They have Shaquille and Shaquem Griffin, brothers on defense, though, nonetheless. Number 3, Arizona Cardinals, 7-9, 1-5. And number 4, Los Angeles Rams, 6-10, 2-4. For Arizona, you got Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. You also acquired DeAndre Hopkins. And then you got Jared Goff and Van Jefferson for Sean McVay's bunch. And also Josh Reynolds. So now here are my NFL postseason predictions. Wild card round. Tennessee over New England, 2-7. Number 6, Cleveland over number 3, Baltimore. Number 5, Denver over number 4, Buffalo. Wild card NFC. Number 2, San Francisco over number 7, Dallas. Number 3, New York over number 6, Seattle. Number 4, Green Bay over number 5, New Orleans. AFC divisional round. Number 1, Kansas City over number 6, Cleveland. Number 2, Tennessee over number 5, Denver. NFC divisional round. Number 1, Tampa Bay over number 4, Green Bay. Number 2, San Francisco over number 3, New York. AFC championship game. Number 1, Kansas City over number 2, Tennessee. NFC championship game. Number 1, Tampa Bay over number 2, San Francisco. And then Super Bowl LV. Number 1, Kansas City over Chiefs over number 1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My NFL awards. MVP, Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks. Offensive Player of the Year, Saquon Barkley, New York Giants. That's why I wore his jersey today. Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa, San Francisco 49ers. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Chase Young, the Washington Football Team. Head Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel, Tennessee Titans. Executive of the Year, Jason Licht, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Comeback Player of the Year, Rob Gronkowski, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last but not least, thank my uncle for buying me this Barkley shirt, Frank. And then, last but not least, NFL top 10 teams entering the 2020 NFL season. Number 10, the Green Bay Packers. Number 9, the Buffalo Bills. Number 8, the Denver Broncos. Number 7, the Dallas Cowboys. Number 6, the New Orleans Saints. Number 5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 4, the Tennessee Titans. Number 3, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2, the San Francisco 49ers. And number 1, surprise, surprise, the Kansas City Chiefs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time on this 100 show special. I would like to thank all of you for tuning in and listening to my special 100 show today. I could not have done this without all my fans and family and friends, whoever else, people across the country who listen to the show. I hope you all enjoy your weekend and continue to listen to my shows. And I will be back on the air at the same time on Monday. Use promo code 12Z Sports, all cash for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie.
Are you ready for the King of the Ice? Pete's Power Plays with Philly Pete starts now on 12 Ounce Sports.
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Thursday, last week of the show. For me, of course, this is the Thursday, September 3rd, 2020 episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only King of the Ice himself, Philly Pete. And we are live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. I hope everybody's tuning in right now. Again, 761 on Zingo TV. This show, as always, is sponsored by MyBookie. Please make sure you First off, please make sure you go to mybookie.ag. Use the promo code 12 Ounce Sports. That's 12OZ Sports. Simple as that. And they'll actually match your deposit up to $1,000. Simple as that. So once again, mybookie.ag. Use the promo code 12 Ounce Sports. That's 12OZ Sports. And they will match your first deposit up to $1,000. You really don't want to be missing your chance to be cashing out all of our phenomenal tickets, all of these sports cappers that we have on 12 Ounce Sports, including yours truly, Philly Pete. And those that tailed all my plays last night, like I said on the show yesterday, I was all over the Avalanche, sweeps the board for Twitter. So Twitter, congratulations to those that tailed my plays on Twitter. Obviously, the free plays, that cashed out 3-0. Congrats with some value too. So once again, fans out there that cashed out on my plays, congratulations. And hey, you sweep the Twitter playlist, I should say. So the Twitter list has been swept last night, so congratulations to all. And once again, mybookie.ag, use the promo code 12 Ounce Sports, and they'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. Simple as that. Zingo TV, channel 761. Those that don't have the app, make sure you download the app on your smart TV. Make sure you make an account with Zingo TV. Use the promo code 12 Ounce, 12OZ, and from there you'll be streaming live all of our phenomenal shows on 12 Ounce Sports, including yours truly, Pete's Power Plays. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back Thursday, September 3rd. We are rocking and rolling as we speak. Last show of the week for me, unfortunately, but let's end this off with a bang. First and foremost, let us get into some injuries real quick. Updates. Matthew Barzal from the New York Islanders. He's trending in the right direction after the Game 6 injury scare as the Islanders take mental health day. So, you know what? This was based off about 18 to 20 hours ago. Right now, Couturier and Barzal are game time decisions, and it just seems that Barzal has more of an opportunity to actually play compared to Couturier. I'm hearing a lot of no-show for the Couturier man himself, based on my Philly insight sources that I have around the Flyers network. Sources are saying that Couturier is a game-time decision, but it's leaning towards that he might be out for this game tonight versus the Islanders in Game 6. But we will see what happens. We do have all day. We'll see what happens during practices as well and their skates this afternoon. But the most obvious one here just seems that Barzal is going to be playing here tonight. It's trending in the right direction, like I said. So, he is, again, these two guys are game time decisions, but for me, I think Barzal plays, and I think Couturier does not. That's just my 2 cents there. However, like I said, Barzal had that really awful injury the other day, and, it was scary. It was a very scary situation there. But, you know what? It's, and like I said, the Islanders are good with Barzal. They absolutely need Barzal. And, he makes that Islanders team, obviously. We all know that. We absolutely know that for sure. And, it's what is basically putting him in the right direction with this team. So, this was yesterday. Coach Trotz is going to take his time when, if he's going to be inserted into the lineup today. But right now, he is a game time decision, but he is looking upward into playing this evening. So we will see what happens. That's just based on a few sources that I have. So stay tuned to that. Also, Sean Couturier, another bad injury for the Flyers. He left in the third period. You didn't see him at all for the rest of the game, nor overtime. So this is a huge, huge situation for the Flyers here. And they have an up next mentality in case if he cannot go. And like I said, sources are saying that he will be out of this game here tonight versus the Islanders in Game 6. So someone will need to bring their big boy pants on for the Flyers. Of course, another elimination situation and game here as well. It's just a shame that this happened for Couturier. Obviously, the Flyers MVP. He is their best all-around player for sure. But of course, it's an apparent knee injury, and it's just bad. I don't like the way that this is trending for Couturier at all. So listen, they have to find a way to get the next man up. Simple as that. So they basically have the up next mentality. I know that for sure. And it just seems to me that if Couturier can stand right, you get the feeling that he will try to play. But again, we don't know that. 2 years ago, he played with a torn MCL in his right knee and collected 5 points, including 3 goals in a season-ending 8-5 playoff loss, and that was back against Pittsburgh. So we will see what happens. AV himself, he will consult with his assistants, obviously, this morning about his replacement. Looks like Lawton would probably remain on the top line right now, and obviously a change would have to be made on the lower line. Michael Raffl, obviously, if healthy, would seem like the most logical replacement. And also you have Connor Buneman and Morgan Frost, as well as other possibilities for the Flyers tonight in Game 6. So, there's other opportunities there. And, it's just a bummer loss for the Flyers if he can't go tonight. And, like I said, I have a bad feeling that he's going to be out. I have a feeling that Bartzell will be in tonight for the Islanders. So that's just my 2 cents. So that basically is that situation over there in the Philly Islanders game. Also, you had an injury last night in the Colorado game. Gabriel Landeskog, he luckily escaped serious injury when he got cut on the leg by a skate. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, skates are sharp. You got to be careful. There's enough injuries in the world when it comes to hockey. I mean, nothing compares to like the slice in the neck. I mean, that's just gruesome. It's brutal to see. It's tough. Skates are sharp. So those that actually play the sport, just please be careful. Those skates are sharp. They're absolutely sharp. But, Landeskog obviously escaped serious injury. Just had a little gash on his leg from a skate. That's it, just a little cut. And he had a gash open. He had it shut up. He had it shut up that night right after the game. All is good for Landeskog and the Avalanche. And, man, like I said yesterday on the show, we have a Game 7. Who doesn't want to see a Game 7? Really. I mean, Game 7 is what hockey's all about, what basketball is all about, baseball, every major sport, obviously besides football. Everyone loves a Game 7. So, recapping last night's game, obviously we know that the Avalanche jumped out to a 5-0 lead in the first period last game. But, you know what? This game, man, I'm telling you right now, this was Dallas came out hot. Absolutely. Stars came out hot. Quick 1-0 lead, 10 minutes into the first period. And, I was like, all right, just calm down, Avs. It's all good. And then, of course, 30 seconds left in the first period. They get the equalizer goal, 1-1, and a very fortunate over 1.5 first period goals that was also on my list. So that was awesome. That cashed out for the Twitterverse faithful out there that tailed my play. So, I mean, all in general, I was all over the Avalanche last night. If you did not tune into my show, that was basically what was talked about. So, awesome night in general. And, like I said, Dallas just could not get one more in the net. And, Colorado's playing good. They're playing great hockey right now. And, they're ready to rock. This is ready to rock here. And so, in conclusion here, we this is exactly what we wanted. And, those that tuned into my show yesterday and listened to all my Avalanche talk, like I said, congratulations on your sweep. This is why you listen to my show every Tuesday through Thursday, 12 to 12:30, of course, on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. You all out there get the first-hand advantage, really, when it comes to making your bookies pay the price with basically my plays that you want to wager on. So there you have it. Avalanche all over the board, and Avalanche once again cash out the money line, the -1, and like I said, the over first period goals at 1.5. So now going to recapping last night, like I said, we had the Avalanche money line at -120, Avalanche -1 with some value at +140. I was so tempted to take the puck line -1.5, but I let that go. Obviously, if you tuned into the show, you could have taken it if you want, but I was all over the Avalanche no matter what last night, and I proved myself right once again with a nice sweep for everybody. So Avalanche money line cashed, Avs -1 at +140, some good value there, that cashed out. Avs Stars over 1.5 first period, that cashed out, luckily, literally with the last 30 seconds in the first period. So once again, congratulations to the Avalanche in forcing a Game 7, and congratulations to those that basically took all my Twitter plays last night. So again, congratulations. Now, last night we had one play for the clients. So the clients had one play last night, and unfortunately it was the over 6 in this game last night. I'm telling you right now, this was another play that I had on there as well. I had the over 6 too. But you have to realize, when the clients are rolling, when everyone's rolling, when hockey teams in general are rolling in terms of the over, this series was all over. You have to continue riding the wave until it eventually crashes. I talked about this the other day with one of my fellow friends out there on Twitter. You know who you are. Same thing. You have to ride these waves with the overs until it eventually crashes. And unfortunately, last night, it crashed. All right, you had a 4-1 victory for the Avalanche. Dallas could not get one more into a first period goal. I was hoping for at least a push, maybe a 4-2 Avalanche win. That would have been okay. You get your money back. But a 4-1, 4-1 Avs win is a shame for the clients. Unfortunately, that was the only loss of the night. However, clients are still rocking an 11-3-1 record in their last 15 games. 11-3-1. Like I said, when it comes to one of the best, I am one of the best in terms of the NHL wagering, capping, whatever it may be. I am your man when it comes to this sport. And like I said, clients are still happy. I know we lost last night, but hey, that's how it goes. You go hot, and you go cold. Simple as that. I talked about this last week on my show. You won't stay cold forever, I can tell you that. And then you eventually start a nice hot streak. So, once again, clients on an 11-3-1 run in their last 15. They are kicking ass as well. And again, Twitterverse out there too are also kicking some butt this whole week too. So congratulations to everybody that's been telling my plays, clients. Congratulations on a great successful week as well. And like I said, let's get into this evening's games. But once again, the Avalanche forcing Game 7 against the Stars, and that game is most likely going to be tomorrow night. And I'm ready to rock. I can't wait. I'm excited for this. Yeah, Game 4. Actually, it is going to be again, Friday night game tomorrow is the game. Colorado and Dallas Game 7, so tune into that. So there you have it. But first and foremost, before I get into this evening's games, Flyers, Islanders, Canucks, and the Vegas Golden Knights, both Game 6s. MyBookie.ag, first and foremost, MyBookie.ag. This show, always, Pete's Power Up Plays, of course, hosted by the one, the only King of the Ice himself, Philly Pete. And again, we're live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. I hope everyone is tuning in right now. This show, as always, is sponsored by MyBookie.ag. Make sure when going to that site, MyBookie.ag, use a promo code 12 Ounce Sports. It's 12OZ Sports. Simple as that. And they'll also match your deposit up to $1,000. You really don't want to be missing your chance to be cashing out all of our large plays that we're going to give to you guys. All the cappers that we have on 12 Ounce Sports. Those that are wagering holics right there, like myself, when it comes to the NHL, this is the place to be. You really don't want to be missing your chance here. Start destroying your bookies by using MyBookie.ag. Once again, 12 Ounce Sports is the promo code, all one word, and they'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. Also, Zingo TV, channel 761. Ladies and gentlemen that are out there tuning in right now, you'll hear my lovely voice as always. But those that don't have the app, make sure you download it on your smart TV. Again, Zingo TV. And when doing so, make sure you use the promo code 12ounce, 12OZ. And from there, you'll be streaming live all of our amazing shows on 12 Ounce Sports, including yours truly, Pete's Power Play. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, channel 761. Tune in right now for the last half of my show. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have 2 games on the menu tonight. We have my beloved Philadelphia Flyers that is basically surviving by the inch, I should say, against the New York Islanders, the thriving New York Islanders. And then the nightcap at 9:45, you have Vegas Golden Knights ready to close out the series against Vancouver. And what can I say? Vancouver had an amazing, absolutely amazing Game 5. And like I said, Thatcher Demko, ladies and gentlemen. I know I spoke about the other day. 43 shots taken, 42 saved for Demko. One hell of an evening for him. And like I said, I just think that Vancouver was on their game. But I think tonight, we'll see what happens. But first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, let us get into the action here with the Islanders and the Flyers. Now, again, the loss to Couturier is going to be huge. Absolutely huge for the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. So we'll see what happens there. But if Barzal does come in here tonight, advantage is definitely the Islanders for sure. I really think that the Islanders close this out, as much as I hate to say it right now. But the Islanders are a great team. And I said it last time, and I'll say it again. This team is just going to come back at you. They were down 3-1 to the Flyers. They were absolutely down 3-1. Okay? After leading the game 1-0, they were up 1-0. And, Flyers once again looked really, really slow. They looked out of shape. They just did not look good. And they woke up. They woke up in the second half of the game, and they ended up going up 3-1. Late third period, about 5 minutes left to play. And here storms in the New York Islanders. They end up getting 2 goals within that last 5 minutes of the game. And they tie up the game, 3-3, simple as that. There is no, this team is just fighting and fighting. They always fight for it. They always fight for it, and they're willing to do it. And they always seem to come back, like, no matter what. They just have that thrive and the strive, and just they're quick, and they're good, they're elusive. A very consistent hockey team. The Flyers, on the other hand, like I said the day before, they're not consistent. Carter Hart should have stopped that second goal that the Islanders scored. I mean, hell, I could have saved it. Anybody that listening in could save it. Anyone in this whole world could save that shot. It was literally from the blue line. Like, what a joke. Carter Hart's better than that. He's got to save that. But again, who knows? They would have tied it up anyway if that goal never happened. So, again, Islanders never give up. They don't give up. I love everything about them. And, I just think the series ends tonight in 6. The Islanders are that darn good to basically, not lose this one again, because they had it. They came back, they threw it to overtime, and I said, Islanders are going to win this game in overtime, but the Flyers won. Simple as that. And, coming as a Flyers fan here, I'm happy they won game 5, obviously, survive in advance, and that's what happens. So now we're at game 6, 7 o'clock Eastern time. In Toronto, of course, over-under is set at 5. The over-under is set at 5 at -115. And the New York Islanders are basically -120 on the money line. 75% of the money is rolling in on the Islanders on the money line to cash out and to secure the other spot in the Eastern Conference Finals to play the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, the Lightning did devour, I should say, the Boston Bruins a few days ago in that series in 5. But once again, clients, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning at 9-1. Those that signed up back in September had the Tampa Bay Lightning 9-1 as our future Stanley Cup in the East. And in the West, we have Dallas and Colorado. Dallas 18-1 and Colorado 12-1. So again, we're still looking good either way. We got one to represent the East right now. So far, so good. And either way, in the West, we got one represented too. So clients are looking good with their futures for the Cup Finals. That's all I'm saying. So back in the action here. Over-under set at 5. Islanders, Flyers. I like the under 5 in this game here today. Okay. Last game went over. I did like the over. I expected the Flyers to get some goals, and they did. It took a little while, but they got 3. Okay. The Islanders have no problem scoring 3 of their own. They have no problem. They always get an unanswered 3 goals no matter what. Even if the Flyers score first, I feel like the Islanders score 3. Flyers score 3, the Islanders will score 3. That's how it's been this whole series. Either way, I like the under in this game. The Flyers had enough goals the other night. That's why I like the over. Like I said, that cashed out. Tonight, though, I'm going with the under 5. I see a very defensive game here. And, the first couple of games in the series, like I said, it's been a push. It's been pushes or losses, or it's been over. So now the Flyers are 3-5-2 in their last 10 with the over, obviously including this series. The Islanders are 4-4-2 in their last 10 in the over-unders, of course, including this game as well. Islanders covering the puck line 17-24. Flyers covering the puck line 22-19. Okay, well, the Flyers on the brink of elimination, obviously, once again. And, the loss to Couturier is going to be huge if he can't play. That means all signs will be going towards the Islanders. That's why I do like the Islanders to close out the series against the Flyers at -120. I do like them on the money line. Like I said, 75% of the money is swaying into the Islanders' favor. I hope the Flyers win because that is my squad. But based on stats here and sports wagering as it gets serious now, I should say, I do really think that the Islanders will take this Game 6, move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, and again play the Tampa Bay Lightning, which will be another intense series for sure. But we know time and time again this whole series that the Islanders are the faster, more consistent, and more elusive team than the Philadelphia Flyers. I just really think still that the Flyers lost all their gas in the first 4 games of the round-robin series that they had, the games that they had. But just the Islanders look better. They're faster, like I said, and I praise the Islanders, and they're a good team. They fight, and they fight to come back, and they will come back on you. They will creep up on you. That's why you have to secure a game when you're up 2 goals. A 2-goal game in general in the NHL is never safe anymore. It used to be back in the day when I was growing up and watching it, but now being 33 years old and realizing that 2-goal lead, maybe even 3-goal leads, are never safe in the NHL anymore. No matter what, playoffs or the regular season, it is never a secured win when you're up 2 or 3 goals, no matter what. So this is why, once again, I like the Islanders to win this game, -120. I'd like to set the 70. Like I said, 75% of the money is rolling on the Islanders money line, and it's a small money line, -120. So I like the Islanders to advance here as well. I like the under 5 in this game, and for the hell of it, we know that the third period over 1.5 has been cashing out. So be on the lookout for that as well. It might not be on my Twitter list, but this is why you pay attention and listen to my show Tuesday through Thursday, because you get the other prop bets that I like, and that's including on my show that you can grab attention to, rather than waiting out on my Twitter list to see if it'll be there. But it won't be there. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be on my list. However, I do like the third period over 1.5 goals. I'm expecting a 3-1 sort of game here for the Islanders. I really do. Just the way they've been scoring goals left to right. Even the team total over 2.5 of the Islanders seems pretty good too. But that's a very, very small lean for me. I'm on the Islanders money line here tonight. I also like the under 5. I truly expect the Islanders to win this game. Barzal should most likely be in the game as well tonight. And just a loss to Couturier is going to kill the Flyers in this game as well. He's the overall best player on this team, and that's who they need. They need him to play, but hey, next one in line, come on right up. Come on down. All right, you're the next contestant on Price is Right, for real, for the Philadelphia Flyers. So there you have it. Islanders, 75% of the money on the money line. Like I said, 25% is going to the Flyers at +110. Islanders money line, ladies and gentlemen, -120. Under 5, I'm taking as well in this game. And the third period over 1.5 goals. I could definitely see a 3-1 sort of game here for the Islanders. Maybe even 2-1. Maybe you'll see a 1-0 game towards the third period. It's been that sort of series. It absolutely has been that. Absolutely has been that sort of series. And there you have it. So Islanders, once again, Islanders on the money line. Islanders, Flyers under 5. And a third period over 1.5 goals. I really do see an empty net goal and then obviously a goal sometime in the third period because it's been cashing out. So let's keep riding the wave, like I said before. You keep riding the wave in games until it eventually crashes. Like last night for my clients. We all keep riding the over 6 in that Avs Star series until it eventually crashes. Last night, it crashed for the first time all series. Again, that's how it goes. So I want to keep rocking with this one as well. Again, Islanders money line under 5 in the third period over 1.5 goals. There you have it in Toronto, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Flyers, Islanders, Game 6. There you have it. Next up on the board, the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Vancouver Canucks. Vegas minus 240 on the money line. That's insane. Vancouver plus 210 on the money line. All right, here we go. Vegas. They had 43 shots on goal the other night. 42 were saved. They only had 1 goal. All right, I think it's over here. Markstrom's back in net for Vancouver. And Demko, one hell of a game, but I don't think this is going to be a repeat, to be honest with you. I think Vegas is going to fight for this one. They do not want to extend a Game 6. Or they do not want to extend to a Game 7. I can tell you this right now. Absolutely not. And, you know, I think obviously at this thing, Vegas takes care of this. You don't want to keep Vancouver in this. They have the potential. You got Pedersen, you got Bozer, you know, you have Horvat. You have a lot of really good athletes on this Canucks team that will surprise you. They have this whole entire playoffs. It's been great. I've been having fun watching Vancouver, you know, this season so far. It's tough in the East Coast, you know, 10 o'clock games out west, and besides, they're not even nationally televised sometimes. So half the time I'm streaming West Coast games that are on at 10:30 at night, and it's tough to watch them. So Vancouver, I like what they've been. I love what I've been seeing with them so far. But at plus 210, plus 220, you know, it's a good little side bet if you want to do that. But no, this is it. I like Vegas. Vegas is going to move on as well to represent the West in the Western Conference Finals. Give me the Vegas Golden Knights here. 75% of the money is on Vegas, while 25% of the money is on Vancouver money line at plus 210 or plus 220, whatever you may be. Like I said, I have about 10 bucks up while I am saying this to you guys, and I go by majority. So 210, 220, that's what you have for Vancouver on the underdog money line. I'm also going to give out most likely another parlay play here as well. Islanders money line, Vegas money line. It pays out at plus 160. So there you have it. If you're not feeling the Vegas minus 240 money line, which you shouldn't be, it's a lot of juice. I do like the Islanders Vegas Knights money line parlay at plus 160, ladies and gentlemen. That's a good payout, little bang for your buck. Also, I like the Vegas Golden Knights minus 1. I absolutely like them to cover the goal, minus 1. And even in regulation, I like Golden Knights in regulation. That is minus 150 in regulation. And Vegas to cover the minus 1 is minus 165. It's a little juicy, I know. But if you rather play that, so say if they go to overtime and it's 3-3, Vegas wins 4-3 in overtime, you'll push it back. It is juicy. The minus 165 is very juicy. I understand that. But I really think Vegas takes care of business here tonight against Vancouver. They close out the series in 6. And like I said, I love it. I absolutely love it. I also like the first period over 1.5. Okay, we've been rocking and rolling with this one as well. I know it didn't cash out the other night, but again, that's how it goes. So I do like Vegas and Vancouver over 1.5 goals in the first period. I like the Vegas minus 1 play at minus 165. It's only going to go up from there. So I have minus 165. Some books have minus 170. It's juicy, but I do like the Vegas Golden Knights minus 1 as well. And the minus 1, if you want to be a little frisky here with the minus 1.5 goals, that is a plus 110. Not a lot of value there. Again, your $1 pays out $1.10, so you get 10 bucks extra if you were to cash out the puck line at minus 1.5. But I am, to be safe, I'd rather go with the minus 1 for Vegas here. I also like Vegas Golden Knights and Islanders moneyline parlay that pays out plus 160. If you're feeling a little bang for your buck too, and as well, I do think this is going to be a 1-goal game. I know Vancouver is on edge here. I get it. But I like the over 6, and I think Vancouver covers the puck line plus 1.5. So I can see a 4-3 Vegas win here. You get the overs in the first period and the full game. So there you have it. So once again, conclusion here, Flyers, Islanders, I'm all over the Islanders. Under 5, Vegas minus 1. The parlay, Islanders, Vegas plus 160. The over 6 and the over first period, 1.5 goals. Also, the third period over 1.5 goals for the Flyers, Islanders. And ladies and gentlemen, that basically concludes my week, my day today. Pete's Power Plays, of course. Clients, look out for your play. Let's get rocking and rolling. Twitter, as always, look out for your plays as well. I hope everyone has a phenomenal weekend. Stay safe, stay sane, and let's enjoy some pucks tonight. See you guys on Tuesday. Later.